All right, if you're buying a gift for a child this year, you definitely want to hear this.
About 206,000 children in the United States were treated for toy-related injuries in 2021.
One says the toy just suddenly started burning. Verdict is left wondering how safe her children's Fisher-Price toys really are.
Kids' toys are a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's no surprise because parents love seeing their kids have fun. In 2023 alone, Americans spent $28 billion on toys. But sometimes the toys meant to make kids happy end up putting them in the hospital. Every 3 minutes, one child is treated in a U.S. emergency room for a toy-related injury. We'll rank dangerous kids' toys that got banned, starting from minor injuries to serious consequences. My name is Visual Ventura. I want to thank you guys for supporting. It means the world. The Gilbert Atomic Energy Lab. In 1950, a mysterious red box showed up in toy stores across America.
It looks like a lovely little red paper suitcase with snake skin, it's not snake skin, on the outside of the box.
It was a new toy, the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. This science kit lets kids conduct experiments, mix chemicals, and have fun while learning. There was just one problem. The science kit contained radioactive materials, the kind used in nuclear bombs.
It's because it comes with 3 sources of radiation and 4 uranium ores that are also radioactive.
So who thought it was a good idea to put radioactive materials in a toy? The man behind the Gilbert Atomic Energy Kit was Alfred Carlton Gilbert, a famous toy inventor.
We live in an age of science. This year at Gilbert, we present the finest toy line in our history.
By 1950, people were very interested in atomic energy. World War II just ended, the first atomic bomb had been dropped, and nations were scrambling to build nuclear weapons. Gilbert believed this was the perfect time for an educational toy that taught kids about atomic energy. The toy was marketed to parents as a way to direct their children toward a potential career in science and engineering. It contained a cloud chamber, an electroscope, as well as other devices and chemicals that let kids measure radioactivity. Even though Gilbert promised the toy was safe, one part of the kit was more dangerous than parents thought. The kit came with 4 small jars of real uranium. This uranium released as much radiation as UV rays from the sun.
It really did emit very, very low amounts of radiation, but I probably would not encourage children to hold these samples next to their body all day long.
Long-term exposure to radiation is very dangerous, and the kit contained U-238 uranium isotope, which has been linked to many serious diseases, including cancer. The instructions in the kit warn kids not to open the jars containing uranium because they tend to flake and crumble, and you would run the risk of having radioactive ores spread out in your laboratory. Luckily, this dangerous toy never caught on. At a price tag of $50, which is around $650 today, the Gilbert Atomic Kit was too expensive for most parents.
And they sold poorly. And the reason for that is not because of any radioactivity concerns, but rather because it was expensive. It was $50.
In 1951, the kits were completely banned from stores barely a year after they were released. Luckily, the Atomic Kit only sold a few units before it was removed, but our next toy sold millions before anyone realized how dangerous it was. Slap bracelets. When we think of dangerous toys, we picture those with lots of moving pieces and electrical parts. However, the simplest toys are sometimes the most dangerous.
We used to have these in the olden days. They were called slap bracelets.
In the summer of 1990, slap bracelets were released in the US and sales went through the roof. In just 3 months, Main Street Toys sold 1 million of the bracelets for $2.50 each and had orders of 5 million more. Slap bracelets were part toy and part fashion statement. Kids were addicted to snapping the bracelet over their wrist and molding it flat again. In 1990, right after the original slap wraps came out, a bunch of knockoffs appeared on the market. But the companies that made these fake bracelets would do anything to make a quick buck, even putting people in danger. The original slap wraps used high-grade quality steel with rounded edges and a double-knit fabric. But the knockoffs, which were coming from Asia, were made of cheaper fabric and low-grade steel with sharp edges that could rust through the fabric. If the cover tore and the metal band was exposed, it could cause injuries like cuts and scrapes when slapped onto a wrist. Unfortunately, the copycats didn't care about safety. Soon, the market was flooded with poorly made knockoff slap bracelets, and it was only a matter of time before people started getting hurt. First, 4-year-old Nicole Tomaso of Wallingford, Connecticut cut her finger on the sharp metal inside a cheap imitation slap bracelet. Then, a student in an elementary school in New York needed 3 stitches in her hand after she was cut with an exposed bracelet edge. So many injuries were reported within 1 month that the Consumer Product Safety Commission issued a press release warning that slap bracelets posed a cutting hazard. To make matters worse, students weren't just snapping it around their hands. They were snapping the bracelets around their ankles, necks, and places with prominent veins. It was estimated that 10 to 15 million counterfeit bracelets were sold.
No
freaking
There's
way.
no way that's a tape measure.
This is insane.
Are you kidding me? Stop!
The only way to prevent more injuries was to stop kids from using them. But how? Slap bracelets were banned in schools in New York, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut.
Nearly 80,000 bracelets for kids are being recalled. They are Trolls slap band bracelets, and the danger is that children have been cut by the metal covering.
The makers of the original slap wrap Main Street toys were hit the hardest because they sold only 1 million slap wraps, which was far less than the 15 million knockoffs. This next toy was so dangerous it was recalled, destroyed, and never made again. Cabbage Patch Snack Time dolls. In the early 80s, the Cabbage Patch doll was the hottest toy in America.
They're each one of a kind. They're Cabbage Patch Kids. You can give them all your love.
These dolls were so popular, they set every toy industry sales record for 3 years running. Riots would break out in stores when there weren't enough Cabbage Patch dolls. One desperate store manager in Pennsylvania used a baseball bat to protect himself from the mob trying to snatch up Cabbage Patch Kids dolls.
Welcome to another holiday shopping season. When the doors opened at this Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania store, the pushing and shoving began. One woman was knocked to the floor and suffered a broken leg.
Sometimes things got so chaotic that the police had to come and disperse the crowds. At its peak in 1984 and 1985, sales of the dolls exceeded $500 million annually. However, as the 80s ended, the demand for Cabbage Patch dolls fell. Everyone thought the glory days of the Cabbage Patch doll were over. Until Mattel purchased the rights to the dolls in 1994. Mattel launched a new doll called Cabbage Patch Kids Snack Time Kids. The company believed this new doll would bring back the excitement of owning a Cabbage Patch doll. Little did they know, the Cabbage Patch Snack Time doll was only going to make things worse. The Snack Time doll looked like most other Cabbage Patch dolls, but it had one huge difference. This doll could eat.
My Cabbage Patch Snack Time kid, she really loves to snack. Wow, she really chews. Eating her is so much fun. Your banana's all gone.
The Snack Time doll came with several plastic snacks, like a carrot, celery, and french fry. To play with the doll, the child would put the snack in the doll's mouth, and a motor would slide the snack into the doll's mouth as if it were really eating. The toy was a success. By the end of the year, over 500,000 dolls had been sold. Mattel planned to launch more dolls with new features, but then they got shocking news. The Snack Time doll just tried to eat a child.
The Cabbage Patch Snack Time Kids doll is designed to chew automatically when fed plastic french fries. Well, this particular doll began munching on 7-year-old Sarah Stevens' hair right up to the scalp.
The Snack Time doll had rollers in its mouth that would pull in plastic food. The rollers would keep moving if they sensed anything entering the doll's mouth, regardless of what it was. This meant that if a child's hair or fingers got caught in the doll's mouth, the rollers would pull them in and start chewing. By the end of 1996, there were 100 reports of children getting their hair and fingers caught in the doll's mouths. In one instance, a family had to call 911 to dismantle a doll because their 7-year-old daughter's hair got stuck in the Snack Time doll's mouth and they couldn't free it. It took 3 people over 30 minutes to dislodge the toy from the girl's hair. The media picked up this story and parents started calling the Snack Time dolls the dolls from hell. The bad publicity was hurting Mattel's brand. The Product Safety Commission launched an investigation and Mattel needed to act fast before anyone else got hurt. So in January 1997, Mattel took the Snack Time dolls off the market and offered a $40 refund to anyone who purchased one. That $40 refund cost Mattel millions of dollars because they already sold around 500,000 by the time they realized the problem. But that wasn't the only time relaunching an old toy caused trouble. This next toy's return triggered a government intervention. The Easy Bake Oven. The Easy Bake Oven was first released in 1963 by a company called Kenner Products.
Easy bake, fast as you can. Mix 'em up, pour 'em in the pan. Slide 'em in, let 'em bake now. Slide 'em in, slide 'em out, easy bake, wow!
Kids could bake small cakes and cookies in the miniature oven just like a grown-up. Little girls loved it so much that Kenner sold 500,000 Easy Bake Ovens in the first year of production. In 1991, Hasbro, another big toy company, bought Kenner Products and decided to design a new and improved version of the oven. However, Hasbro ended up creating something that sent hundreds of people to the emergency room. In 2006, a new version of the Easy Bake Oven hit stores. This one was a purple and pink plastic oven with 4 burners on the top and a front-loading oven. The oven had a small opening where children would slide food in to bake. Sometimes kids would accidentally stick their fingers too far inside and get them trapped in the front opening. After the release of the new model in May 2006, Hasbro received reports of 29 children getting their fingers or hands caught in the front-loading door.
5-year-old Sophia Justice is not happy because these firefighters are trying to
remove an Easy Bake oven that is stuck on her hand.
But fingers getting stuck was only half the problem. The oven also had 4 metal plates which could get really hot.
It's like a great little hand warmer. Ooh, and it warms up my face. Hot oven top. Do not touch. Do not try this at home.
This made it easy for kids to get burned if they touched it while hot. As months passed, reports of people getting hurt by the oven increased. At this point, Hasbro should have recalled the product, but instead they offered a free repair kit to improve the oven's safety. The repair kit was a special plastic grate designed to cover the oven's front opening so kids couldn't stick their fingers inside. However, kids still lifted the flap to put their fingers in.
What do you want to do with that flap?
The injuries continued. There were 249 additional reports of kids getting their hands or fingers stuck and 77 reports of burns. In 2007, the parents of a Mississippi girl sued Hasbro for $1.2 million after their daughter got her hand stuck in the oven for more than 3 hours. When her parents couldn't get the toy off, they rushed her to the hospital where emergency room doctors were forced to cut the device off with a bone saw. Parents all over the country were mad and accused Hasbro of recklessly allowing a dangerous product to stay on the market. Eventually, the US Consumer Product Safety Commission banned the toy, and in July 2007, facing criticism, injuries, and lawsuits, Hasbro recalled about 1 million Easy Bake ovens. Even though the 2006 Easy Bake oven was never made again, this next toy caused just as much panic that same year. Polly Pocket.
Hi, I'm Polly Pocket. You can open up the case, there's a world for you. Wow. So many fun places you'll like to do. Polly Pocket, Polly Pocket, Polly Pocket, so small you can take her anywhere.
In 1989, Bluebird Toys introduced Polly Pocket, which were plastic cases that unfolded into dollhouses. Inside were tiny dolls less than an inch tall that could stand up in different areas of the dollhouse. By 1994, Polly Pocket was one of the best-selling toys for girls between 3 and 8. And in 1995 alone, Bluebird Toys sold $139 million worth of Polly Pockets. But 2 years later, sales started to wane. Kids stopped buying them, but not all hope was lost. In 1998, Mattel bought the Polly Pocket brand and redesigned the entire Polly Pocket line. Mattel also introduced a new magnet-based clothing line to help make dressing the Polly Pocket dolls easier for children. They called it Quick Click.
For Quick Click fashion, it's totally wild. Elevator down. Hey, a new outfit. Change the color. A Quick Click.
They gave the dolls magnetic hands and feet so Polly was able to better attach or stand in the dollhouse. Millions of parents bought the Quick Click Polly Pocket for their kids. And at first, everything was fine. But then the tiny magnets in the dolls' hands, feet, and accessories began to fall off. Some kids ended up playing with these tiny magnets and accidentally swallowing them, which could cause choking. But the danger increased if more than one magnet was swallowed, because multiple magnets could stick together inside their stomach, causing serious complications. Swallowing a magnet isn't like swallowing a penny because they can wreak havoc inside the body. There were over 170 reports of the small magnets falling from Polly Pocket dolls and accessories. However, Mattel didn't take it seriously until those tiny magnets almost took a life. In 2006, 3 people swallowed the Polly Pocket's tiny magnets and ended up in the emergency room. Each of them swallowed more than one magnet and required surgery. Luckily, all of them survived. After such a close call, the Consumer Product Safety Commission ordered Mattel to pull the toy off the shelves. In November 2006, Mattel recalled about 4 million Polly Pocket playsets that had magnets in them. The recall cost Mattel millions of dollars and damaged Polly Pocket's reputation as a safe, child-friendly toy. In 2010, Mattel attempted to relaunch a new line of Polly Pocket toys, but it flopped. It seemed parents could never trust Polly Pocket again, and in 2012, Polly Pockets were discontinued in the US. But the trouble caused by Polly Pockets is nothing compared to our next toy, which led to cuts, broken teeth, and even broken ribs. Sky Dancers. Sky Dancers were like Barbie dolls that could fly. The toy came with a pull string base and a doll with foam wings. When a child pulled the string, the doll would launch into the air, spinning its wings like a helicopter as it flew.
Sky Dancers. They're flying. Flies for me, just for me. Sky Dancers dance for me. Wow, they really fly.
Launched during the 1994 winter holiday season, Sky Dancers became the #1 doll in over 20 countries around the globe. Over 30 million dolls were sold, generating over $350 million in sales for Galoob, the company that created them. It even inspired an animated TV show in 1996. The fact that Sky Dancer dolls could fly while other dolls couldn't made it a favorite among little girls. However, the feature that made Sky Dancers unique was the same one that led to their downfall. To make a Sky Dancer doll fly, it's inserted into the top of the launcher feet first, and the pull cord is pulled to launch the doll. But there was a problem with this approach. While launched into the air, the dolls could sometimes fly rapidly in unpredictable directions and hit anyone nearby. You had toys spinning into the air and just going wherever the wind took them. While the foam wings on the dolls provided a limited amount of safety, getting hit in the face by a flying hard plastic doll was dangerous. There were 170 reports of the dolls striking people, resulting in 150 injuries. The flying dolls were responsible for facial cuts, broken teeth, and even broken ribs. As more injuries were reported, parents began to complain about the toys, sharing their stories about how their kids got hurt. Consumer safety groups contacted the media to warn others about the dangers of the flying dolls. At some point, the U.S. Consumer Product and Safety Commission thought enough was enough and stepped in. In June 2000, in the face of intense pressure and negative publicity, Galoob was forced to recall the Skydancer dolls after less than 6 years on the market. Almost 10 million dolls that sold nationwide were recalled. Galoob announced that consumers should stop using the dolls immediately and call a toll-free number to participate in the recall and get a free replacement toy. Recalling the Skydancer toys was a financial disaster for the company, but even after pulling the toys, Galoob's problems were still far from over. After the recall, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission slapped Galoob with a $400,000 fine for not reporting the injuries caused by the dolls early enough. At least the bruises caused by the Skydancer dolls could heal. Our next toy didn't just cause injuries, it caused millions of dollars in property damage. Hoverboards. When a house catches fire, we often think that a stove or faulty wiring is to blame. But between 2015 and 2022, many house fires were started by a toy, specifically a hoverboard. A hoverboard is a self-balancing board that makes the rider feel like they're flying. Although it looks like the hoverboard is levitating, it uses 2 wheels to get around. Most Americans saw hoverboards in the movie Back to the Future 2.
He's on a hoverboard!
Although the hoverboard in the movie was fictional, it left a lasting impression on the audience. Then in 2014, real hoverboards were invented by Shane Chen and went viral on social media.
Ever since celebrities like Justin Bieber and Kendall Jenner began posting videos of themselves slaloming on hoverboards, they've been flying off the shelves.
It's the must-have gift this holiday season, hoverboards.
According to eBay, they're selling one every 12 seconds.
As hoverboards became popular, some Chinese companies saw an opportunity to make a quick buck by creating cheap knockoffs. But these knockoffs weren't just cheap, they were also dangerous. It was a cool evening in Watton, Norfolk. Lucy and Dan Wallace were watching TV in their home, while their 8-year-old son Dylan was asleep in his room upstairs. Suddenly, Lucy and Dan heard a strange sound behind them. Describing the situation, Lucy said, "I heard the hoverboard come on and it banged against the wall in the hallway behind me twice." Lucy went to check it out. She opened the door and there was a massive amount of flames. It turns out their son's hoverboard was charging when it caught on fire. Lucy and Dan watched in horror as the first floor of their family home quickly filled with smoke. Lucy ran upstairs, grabbed their son from his bed, and then carried him back downstairs out into the garden. Meanwhile, Dan tried to get the burning hoverboard outside. The Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service quickly arrived to put the fire out, and luckily no one was seriously hurt. But this is just one of the hundreds of stories involving malfunctioning hoverboards.
It's on fire!
Timothy Cade says his hover booster board burst into flame and the lithium-ion batteries shot out.
From 2015, there were numerous reports of hoverboards catching on fire, mostly caused by knockoffs. Fires started in many different ways. Some hoverboards exploded while charging, others while people were riding them, and some while the hoverboard wasn't even moving.
It was like a firework, like you just lit a firework. I seen sparks just flying, and before I could yell, the house is on fire, just the middle part of the board that would go in between your feet just poof and into flame.
By December 2015, there were 12 incidents in the United States where the lithium-ion batteries in hoverboards reportedly caught fire, destroying bedrooms and even entire homes. But that number was rising quickly. 7 months later, in July 2016, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission updated that number to at least 60 reports of hoverboard fires totaling over $2 million in property damage.
It's the terrifying moment a hoverboard catches fire inside a house.
In 2022, hoverboards and similar devices caught fire many times, causing 19 fatalities and sending 20 people to hospitals in 39 states. So why were these hoverboards suddenly catching fire? Experts believe that the hoverboard fires were caused by the lithium-ion batteries in the device. The liquid swimming around inside most lithium-ion batteries is highly flammable. Therefore, if the battery short circuits, the liquid electrolyte can heat up so quickly that the battery explodes. For a while, it seemed like hoverboards would become as common as bicycles. But as videos of hoverboard injuries spread on social media, many places decided to ban them. Hoverboards started disappearing in February 2016 when the US Consumer Product Safety Commission threatened to block imports of hoverboards that don't meet safety standards. A few months later, the commission followed through on that threat, recalling 500,000 hoverboards in the United States. Some cities also banned hoverboards.
Back. Even if your scooter is working perfectly well, you can't ride these things everywhere. In New York City, it's illegal to ride them on the sidewalks and the streets.
The US airline industry followed suit. Many airlines have banned hoverboards on flights. Amazon suspended hoverboard sales and demanded vendors to provide documents proving the devices meet safety requirements. The next story is about the disasters that happened when a food company decided to enter the toy business. Burger King Pokeballs. In 1999, millions of kids were excited about the release of a new film, Pokemon: The First Movie.
Training is over. Kids WB presents Pokemon: The First Movie.
It was a fantasy adventure film based on the widely successful Pokemon games. To boost excitement for the movie, Pokemon teamed up with Burger King for a special promotion, but it would end in catastrophe. This is how the Burger King Pokeball promotion worked. When customers bought a Burger King kids meal, they would find a plastic Pokeball inside the box. The Pokeballs could be opened by pulling the two halves apart, and inside it was a small Pokemon toy.
Now inside every Burger King Big Kids meal you buy, your kids not only get more of the great tasting food they love, they get Pokemon toys and limited edition trading cards from Pokemon: The First Movie.
Burger King offered a set of 59 toys which were inside these round containers.
Now these are the balls that we're talking about. So 25 million of them were given out with kids meals. They were either red and white or hot pink. And when you open them up like this, inside is a Pokemon toy.
However, a problem was looming. Pokeballs could be opened by pulling apart their halves to reveal a toy, but the halves were big enough to cover a child's nose and mouth. Either half of the Pokeball can get stuck on a child's face, making it difficult to breathe.
Once you put them up to your mouth and you suck on them, like it kind of like sticks to your mouth, and then you can't get any air, and then you pass away.
In December 1999, a girl met a tragic end when one half of a Pokeball covered her nose and mouth. 2 days after this incident, the US Consumer Product Safety Commission asked Burger King to recall the balls, but Burger King refused. They stated that they were afraid to create anxiety for parents as it was too soon to confirm whether the ball was responsible for the tragic accident. Burger King said that they were waiting for autopsy results to clarify what actually happened. While Burger King was stalling, the balls were still in circulation. Before long, another incident in Kansas would prove just how dangerous the balls were. On December 23rd, it happened again. A girl playing with the ball had a ball half stuck over her face. However, the girl's father was able to pull the ball half from her face before she was injured. That was it. Burger King agreed to recall the balls and ordered their stores to stop distributing them. On December 27th, Burger King issued a press statement announcing the recall. They also released a PSA telling its customers to throw the ball away or return it in exchange for free French fries. Posters were distributed to over 8,000 restaurants.
Burger King and the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission want you to know about the voluntary recall of this Pokemon Pokeball.
Children could keep the toy that was inside the Pokeball, but they had to return the ball itself.
Throw the ball away or return it to Burger King.
Hasbro Javelin Darts. Hasbro Javelin Darts, also known as lawn darts or jarts, was a popular game in the 70s and 80s. The game involved kids throwing darts at a plastic ring on the ground. If a dart lands inside the ring, the player scores a point. The roots of lawn darts can be traced back to an ancient weapon called the plumbata, used by the Greek and Roman soldiers. During battles, soldiers would throw the plumbata at their enemies in an attempt to injure them.
Weighted throwing darts, known as plumbata,
are known for being one of the most effective missile weapons of the ancient world.
Fast forward to the 1990s, toy companies decided to reintroduce the plumbata as a game called lawn darts. In the 1970s, many toy companies, including Hasbro, modified the plumbata's design and applied for patents. Despite being a literal weapon of war, toy manufacturers believed that they could make an exciting family lawn game and started marketing lawn darts as an exciting outdoor game for the whole family. Unfortunately, all hell broke loose when kids got their hands on them.
And let me see if you can hear this. Okay. How can they consider this a toy?
Lawn darts started hurting people as soon as they hit the market. In 1970, a tragic lawn dart accident claimed the life of a child who was only 4. When the Consumer Product Safety Commission heard about this, they banned lawn darts that same year. However, the companies producing lawn darts didn't want them banned. They challenged the ban in court, and after a long legal battle, a compromise was reached in 1976. The ban was lifted on one condition. Lawn darts could no longer be marketed or sold as toys or in toy stores. The commission ruled that every pack must contain the following warning: not a toy for use by children, may cause serious fatal injury, read instructions carefully, keep out of reach of children. By 1977, lawn darts were back in stores, but despite the warning labels, children continued to play with them. Between 1978 and 1986, lawn darts sent 6,100 people to the emergency room. At least 80% of injuries involved kids younger than 15. 3 of these injuries were fatal. However, out of all these incidents, one tragedy reminded everyone how dangerous these darts were. In April 1987, a 7-year-old girl in California was playing with her dolls when she was hit by a lawn dart sailing through the air.
Doing what children will do with a lawn dart, they were just winging them. One sailed over a fence, my daughter was in the front, struck her in the head, and she ran to her mother and I.
Sadly, she didn't survive. One researcher estimated that the dart hit her with a force of 23,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. After the loss of his daughter, David Snow started a crusade to get lawn darts banned.
There was a warning on the box. It was a 3-foot high box, and there was a tiny warning on the bottom.
For a year and a half, David Snow lobbied public officials with phone calls and letters trying to get lawn darts completely banned, and he succeeded. In December 1988, the Consumer Product Safety Commission banned the sale of all outdoor darts in the US. After the ban, the commission sent out a press release pleading for the public to destroy their darts or keep them out of the hands of kids. This was the second time lawn darts were banned, but the dangerous toy still refused to go away. The 1988 ban made lawn darts illegal to sell, but by the mid-90s, some parents never saw the ban and let their kids play with them. The ban was reissued in 1997 and people were encouraged to destroy the toy. But even after this third ban, vintage sets of lawn darts are still being sold at online auction sites. These incidents with harmful toys remind us to keep a close eye on the kids in our lives. As technology evolves, so should our efforts to protect them, because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.